Ladies and gentlemen, from the Microsoft Theater here in downtown Los Angeles, brought to you by Sean Porter Promotions. Live from Los Angeles, it's time for the...
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PorterWay Podcast. I gotta cut off my man Jimmy today. We got a lot to get into. As you can see, we have a very near and dear special guest today, Paul Spadafora. Great friend of mine, great friend of to the family, and everything. And we'll get into Paul, we'll get into your book, we'll get into you, all that good stuff. Y'all bet not pause me on none of that either. It is what it is. I talk the way I talk. Mind your business. What up, Zittel?
What's going on? I've seen you guys spar a lot of rounds.
Hey,
a lot
of rounds?
Hey, let me tell you about the sparring, because I got to keep it 100.
Yeah.
His dad would never let him put his hands on me like that. You remember, Sean?
Uh-huh.
He would be boxing, like moving around and stuff.
Yeah.
They'd be working.
Just to make sure we keep that real.
Yeah. And but you were still, even with the shots Sean was working on and getting off, you were hard to hit. And this was you know, not being as active, and your defense was still on point.
Yeah.
I think my dad was just trying to build Paul back up, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, at that point in time, Paul was just really trying to get back into it and get back going and stuff like that. And it's like, I love the car analogy. I just feel like when you talk about a car, especially a high performance vehicle, you could relate that to anything in boxing, you know? So Paul, when I was a kid, like I remember seeing Paul when I was a kid. I think he was finishing up his amateur career when I was a kid, when I was 10, 11 years old. He was finishing his amateur career, and I got to see some of him. And like I said before, like you definitely motivated me, and in a lot of ways inspired me to do what I went on to do, have gone on to do in the game. And I'm trying to figure out what kind of car, Paul, you would be as I speak, and I'm not sure. What do you think?
Maybe that. It's like, what would you say, Paul?
I like to say I'm a Fiat.
Fiat?
Yeah.
What about the old the IROC Z28s?
Like a Fiat.
You a Fiat with the rockets on the back of it though.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you ain't no normal Fiat. You know?
But I love them cars.
Yeah.
You get in and out of traffic.
Is that an Italian car?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Paul would be the Fiat with the rockets on the back.
Yeah.
But it was in the garage for some time. You know, you can't just go out to the garage, turn the car on, and just move and just go. You know, and so that's kind of where it was for Paul. And you know, my dad was the driver. That's like, okay, we're gonna ease this thing from 10 to 15 to 20. We're not gonna go from 0 to 60. You know, and you know, I definitely have enjoyed you being here in Las Vegas, and I want to get to some boxing before we get to everything about you. And I know you prepare, you know, you ready to talk. Did you take a look at the Canelo and Crawford presser? Yeah. I know people. All right. So here, great question for you. When you've been a part of press conferences, what was your mentality in a press conference? Were you trying to send a message to your opponent? Like, you know, what was your...
I was more of a humble guy,
nice
and relaxed, and let the guy talk and let him do his thing. And just most of the time I would just say, well, we'll see when we fight.
Yeah.
And that type of thing. I was never really big into the back and forth thing. I know social media, and I know it gets views, it goes viral when they'll do this and do that. But I was more of a guy like relaxed, you know, like old school.
Did you ever have anybody come after you?
Well, I did. I had a guy named Troy Fletcher from Philadelphia.
What up, Troy?
And he started with the mouth and all that, you know.
Was it a Philly Pittsburgh thing?
Yeah,
okay.
sort of like that. But it was okay.
Yeah. What did you take from the press conference?
Well, before Paul, did you, because you mentioned that kind of stuff, that's what drives the fight and gets clicks and stuff. Do you think Canelo and Crawford are in part feeding into that? That's why they're doing it?
I really don't think they got to even do nothing. Like, they don't have to do that. I just think that that it's gonna be a great fight, and two of the best are fighting the best. I mean, my opinion. I mean, I think you can put Crawford in any position, and man, for some way he knows how to figure it out to get out of that position.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's man. And he got that dog in him. See, that's the scariest thing for me, because he got so much dog in him. I would hate to get out of pocket and get caught slipping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Does that make any
You mean
sense?
him being against Canelo?
Being stubborn and be like,
trying to make
know,
a point.
Because he's that type of dude. He'll get down with you in a heartbeat.
I talked to him. I think I shared this on the podcast before, but I talked to him after his fight. I went into the locker room to see him after he fought Errol Spence Jr., and I didn't get a chance to speak to him. But on my way out of the room, I was talking to his cousin, a couple other people, and I think it might have been Shakur, but somebody said, yo, he didn't even have a game plan. I said, what? He said he didn't have a game plan. He was asking us what he should do before the fight.
Shakur specifically, right?
So I think it was Shakur that said that. So then I talked to Crawford after the fight, and I know I talked to him on the podcast about this specifically, but then I talked to him afterwards, and I said, stop saying you didn't have a game plan. You had a game plan. He said, look, Sean, we had a game plan, but in the locker room before the fight, I just was fired up and I wanted to go right after him. He said, so in the locker room, after a full training camp of knowing this is systematically how we're going to beat Errol, he is literally, because of that dog, trying to divert away from the system. And he said that they told him, like, nah, just, do you, just box and it'll come. And he said he had, even walking out to the ring, he had it like, just so much energy, passion, dog. Yeah. He wanted to go right after Errol, you know? So using that story again to relate to everyone, you're right. That dog is going to be there. And he understands that he has to be smart. And I think with this one specifically, it ain't just about being smart. He knows he has to look like he's never looked before, because again, if he doesn't and he beats Canelo, everybody's just gonna say, well, that's Crawford, So I think he knows that this is the performance of a lifetime, and everything has to look right. He knows in order for it to look right, he can't just go out there and let the dog go. The dog is, you got to work his way up to the dog. Yeah. Hey, show the clip real quick. I don't know if you showed it already, but this is the dog you're talking about right here, right? And so I pulled this clip right here. I seen it on social media this morning.
Don't do that. That's what I'm saying.
And I pulled this clip, right? But this is Terence.
That's who he is.
He's not gonna swing on Canelo. He already know that part of the game. But what I asked you, were you ever trying to send a message to your opponents? He's letting you know, and it's no act. And that's what I really wanted to show, is that's not an act.
No.
That's not, there's 30 security guards.
I don't know, it feels a little contrived.
You think so?
I think a lot of people feel it's a little like.
Well, I'm glad you used a big word that most of us don't know.
Hey, I don't fight as good as you guys. I had to learn some big words, right, to make up for that.
Don't look it up. Just ignore.
You need big words to get out of fights. You need big words to get out of fights. But okay. So case in point, our guy Hafey, sitting right there, producer extraordinaire. He had a picture of Terence Crawford in New York for the Crawford Spence press conference. And there was this look when Terence, he gave this look to Spence that reminded me of like Dwight Muhammad Qawi and a young George Foreman. And like, I've seen that look before. It was that look of, I'm not the one to fuck with. Right. And that, so I haven't seen that Terence Crawford against Canelo in these two press conferences. They're having dinner. They have the presser in Riyadh. They have the presser in New York. That's a weak ass push by Canelo. And, that is not Canelo. What he did with Caleb Plant, that was real. He slipped him and then slapped him. And that was like, okay. This felt like, hey, social media saying you guys are being too friendly. we're paying you all this money. We're putting the knockout bonus there. Come on, we got a fight to sell. Let's heat this up a little bit. Obviously, they're both great fighters, and they're both coming to win, and you know, but I don't want to get too deep into it today, but you know my thoughts on the big picture, like what's looming, the fight to me, because I'm the journalist, right, is an afterthought to me.
Is that the one real quick? Is that the one right behind?
That's the one. Yeah. That's the one from Ryan, who, you know, shout out to Ryan. He's a producer. He's a photographer. This to me is one of the best photos of Terence Crawford. Yeah. And look at Spence looking down. That's a shark looking at his prey.
He's checking his
and I haven't seen Paulie that look to Canelo Alvarez yet. You know, and actually Canelo, I flip-flopped on. At first I'm thinking Canelo looks so bad against Skull that I got to change my pick to Crawford now. And I hate doing this armchair psychology stuff, but Canelo to me seems to have been woken up from that Skull performance a little bit. And when Crawford was saying, I'm different, right? I'm different. It's like, you're talking to Canelo like he hasn't lost already. He's been, you're talking like you're going to be the first guy. And Canelo looked at him and he's like, no, you're not. Basically, you're not all that. Yeah. I've seen better. Yeah. I've seen better. You know, you're not as big as Dimitri Bivol. You're not as good as Floyd Mayweather. Yeah. Those guys beat me, but I'm just saying, no, you're not different. I've seen this before. I'm different. You haven't fought anybody like Canelo Alvarez. But the fight feels a little bit like an afterthought because the press conference, people are eating it up. It feels like UFC, but I'm a boxing guy. I'm not a UFC guy.
Right, me too.
You know, and it's got the WWE, UFC production value, and
but you gotta have that.
I get it. I
know, but you gotta have that.
I get it.
This thing and it's good for you, but this thing just has not ever evolved, and I can say ever. And it's good for you because you're a purist that has gone back and watched the old school, and so it's like through the years of the graphics of TV, even though that's changed. Nothing else about boxing has changed. You know what I mean? I did want to speak real quick about the amateur boxing that we got to over the weekend.
Right. And Paul was there too.
Yeah. You got anything else on that?
Just that I only say it's an afterthought because what looms in the back. I think the big play here, TKO Zuffa is gonna have Trump at the fight. And Trump's gonna go, I love what they're doing, love what Dana's doing in Turkey. It reminds me of what I did in the 80s with Tyson. I love it, it's just what it needs. And they're gonna hope to send him on his way back to the White House to repeal the Ali Act so they can eventually take over the sport. And Canelo and Crawford are making crazy money, but that's in the hopes that one day they can take over the sport and pay fighters like they pay them in the UFC. That to me is the story. Canelo didn't want to fight Benavidez. Crawford to a lesser degree than Boots, but Crawford with Boots, and instead they're fighting each other and making a whole bunch of money for Saudi Arabia and Dana and Ari Emanuel and TKO, and these people are going to want to take over the sport, and they're using them as instruments to eventually get what they want in the long term. That's the story to me. Someone's going to win. Someone's going to lose. Someone's fanboys are going to be mad. Someone's fanboys are going to go, ha, 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 our guy won. Okay, but to me, the story is the long-term implications of the people putting on this fight.
I tell you the two things that I really like about this fight. Like, number one, I like that it's on Netflix, and His Excellency spoke on how the pirating, you know, it's harder. You know, Netflix is pretty locked in, so you gotta get to it in order to see it. And I love that it's on Netflix because, again, a lot like with Prime, you have people that don't watch boxing now have the opportunity to see, oh, this is going to be on, and oh, this is what everybody's talking about, so on and so forth. I believe it's going to be a snowball effect, and they'll get the sale and all the viewership that they want from that standpoint. The other thing that I really like, I like the fight is happening like in the early afternoon, right?
I don't know. Turkey seemed to shoot that down.
Oh, so
because Oscar said it, and then
I noticed that. I noticed that.
So I saw on I thought the press conference he said that it was going to happen. He said they're gonna do like a breakfast and then they're gonna do the fight. And
I guess that was a joke. I guess he was being sarcastic.
Oh, okay, I missed it.
That's how I looked at it.
Yeah.
I take everything the man say serious, y'all. Should the fight happen in the afternoon?
No.
Should it happen in the afternoon? I personally would like that because in this fight right here where you got literally black against Mexican. The crowd is gonna be hot, and the crowd gonna be hot the whole fight. And I told this story on the podcast not too long ago. Victor Ortiz and Floyd Mayweather. We know that there was that the headbutt situation that happened, and the guy that I was with, I said, "Yo, we need to go," and he was like, "Yeah, why?" I was like, "Let's get out. I promise y'all. We got up out of our seats, and as we got into the aisle, fight broke out right there. So just the point of all that, I think the earlier some of these fights happen, the better chance we have of things not happening. People aren't getting intoxicated the same way at the noon hours as they are at the 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, a.m. hours. And I when I heard that, I was like, okay, you wanted something, because you're giving people the opportunity to view it at a reasonable hour. Not that midnight BS that boxing is always pulling.
Yeah, it drags on.
Not that,
especially if you're living on the East Coast.
Let's stop. So I don't know. I like it overall. I'm looking forward to it. You looking forward to it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Hey, what about Canelo real quick? Is Canelo like one of the fighters that...
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I always go for, when I bet, I just go for the underdog. I don't bet a lot of money because I ain't got a lot of money. So I'm just keeping it real. So I'll bet, and I usually bet against Canelo. And every time I bet against him, he wins.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this fight, I'm very confident that Terence can pull it off.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we have you back in when we get really close to that fight. We can really break it down.
What do you think of Canelo's defense, though, Paul? You're great defensive.
Great defense.
Yeah, and coming forward with it too.
Great, but you see, and remember in his early career, he was a boxer.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever told him to box Floyd Mayweather, they need pray for. That was how do you box the best boxer in the world?
Yeah, that was a horrible game plan.
That was bad.
It wasn't until the Golovkin rematch he discovered, like, I need all that head movement I have. I got to do it pressing forward. I can't. Yeah.
And what I really enjoy about Canelo is he punches you on the arms. He hits you on the forearms, his shoulders. He really don't. And then when he hits you like that, he's really loading up when he's punching you. You ever notice that? I mean, them guys are coming out like, you know what I'm saying? You could just see it. Isn't
that a key to this fight, that if he can get Crawford's attention, hitting him on the arms and make him start bracing for impact, that makes the fight a lot more winnable for him, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I believe, that Crawford's footwork is he knows how to get himself out of position, but then get himself out of position and make you pay.
Yeah. You think at 38, and I think Crawford can do it
but
too.
Listen, but look, Canelo started at what 35 or 140?
147, right?
I think technically 40, but because he's 16 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Terence started at 130.
35, 30,
He won a title at 130, I think.
He won his first against Ricky Burns, 135.
I thought he beat that
Gamboa?
No, Progress or
Postal.
Progress. I'm pretty positive.
No,
he didn't fight Progress.
Yeah, they never got to meet up at 140. Yeah, he.
No.
He might have started pro at 30.
Not him. I'm pretty positive he won the title at 135, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
35. Against Ricky Burns. Yeah.
Yep. Well,
but the other side of that though, because even before you get to the bracing for impact part, let's get to the part of that breakdown from getting hit on the arms, getting hit on the shoulders.
Yeah.
So that's key to me for Canelo Alvarez. And if I'm his camp, I'm telling him, believe in the punches that land on the arms, because those punches that land on the arms are gonna have an impact on the fight.
Remember Bivol doing this to him after the fight and saying like, well, Bivol is a lot physically bigger man to withstand that. So,
right.
Right. Let's go back real quick to the amateur. We were at the Junior Olympics Nationals this weekend. It happened to be in right here in Las Vegas all week, and talked to you guys about amateur boxing champions a while back, something that I was working on, and I'm about to get really, really heavy on that. Boxing is here, y'all. 2028, Los Angeles, and I truly do believe that boxing will be one of the focal points at the end of the Olympic, as the Olympic Games rear its end. I believe that people will be talking.
Technically, it was for the last Olympics, just not in the way that we're talking. The Man Khalif stuff.
Oh yeah,
like that became the biggest story of the Olympics. Was that
So to your point, it's gonna, the way people are talking about boxing in the Olympic Games, and not just America, but boxing in general, not just the USA boxers, but boxing in general. I think we're gonna have a really strong team going right here for 2028. And I really like everything that's going on right now with the Olympic program. I think everybody who's in position to help these fighters be successful as amateur fighters, that is the key to amateur boxing. And that's been missing for a long time. I saw it coming back with the 2020 team, 2024 team, and now we got 28 coming.
Paul, why do you think it's been since Andre Ward, the USA boxing has got a gold?
Me personally, I think that the way the Europeans were doing the boxing end of it, the footwork, you know what I'm saying? A lot of our fighters we fight like pros. These guys are really like amateurs, and they mastered that pace. You know what I mean? But if you go into all the gyms in America, like where we're at, we're really teaching professional paces,
right?
You know, and I think the pace has a big factor.
Right.
That's my opinion.
Do these young fighters have to understand you could build towards the pros and still sharpen up your skills for these amateur fights?
Sure.
You could build both at the same time.
For sure.
What do they got to? I don't know. Any game you could give to those guys?
I mean, if I was you, I would I got green fighters, so I started with, I got amateur fighters, you know what I'm saying? Some pro fighters, but I'm a firm believer in you're gonna have to pick the pace up, but pick it up the right way. You know what I'm saying? You pick it up with the jab, pick it up. You don't have to be in front of them all the time to pick the pace up. You know what I'm saying, Sean? You could. I forget what the one guy's name was. You should have seen it. It was fireworks down there.
At the JOs over the weekend?
Yeah, it was fireworks. It starts with, he's a 132-pounder from Philadelphia.
Salim Bey.
Oh, man.
Salim Bey.
But he had
he had the whole tournament talking about it.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
That was a war.
Yeah, it was.
That guy, it was... If they don't take a point off of that guy,
in the second round, the Yahir Diaz Martinez, the kid's name was Yahir Diaz. I think he's a Cuban kid from Florida that was fighting something.
He can fight.
Yeah, me and Sean were watching that. I was recording it.
Yeah. We had a good time there. I came here prepared to say this to the amateurs, and I am gonna say this. I know it's a lot of amateur coaches, dads, fighters that watch this show, and if I'm not telling the truth, Paulie, please tell them that I'm not telling the truth. I'm pulling up, and the greatness that we saw this weekend, and I'm starting thinking to myself, the answer to one of the answers to your question, why aren't we winning gold medals? Why aren't we
doing
really
what we once did regularly?
A lot of the best are turning pro.
Right.
A lot of our best amateur
Devin
fighters.
Haney maybe could have won a gold medal, but he turned pro at 16, 17 years old.
A lot of our best amateur boxers
100%
are turning pro. And Paulie, if this ain't a true statement, let me know. Y'all rushing to get to nothing. Okay? Turning pro, you're rushing to get to nothing. I'm not knocking the pro game. All I'm saying is for y'all that are really, really good, and y'all know who I'm talking to. The Aleem kid?
The empty Salim Bey, yeah.
Salim Bey?
The empty arena at 4:30 at the Palms is it can wait.
You're rushing
It can wait.
to get to 7 fans because it's just that's what it's gonna be. You're gonna when you turn pro, it's just like when you're an amateur. The only people in the stands watching you is your mom.
It's
your
actually
dad.
worse because in the amateurs it gets so passionate from the families and the crowd. Then you got your friends who are on the same gym as you and they're cheering for you. And
then you turn pro and they say who you fighting. You like you don't know. You know what I mean? Like you're I'm just you're rushing to get to nothing, right? So live out the Olympic experience, right? Look at all of those who came before you. Floyd Mayweather.
Go see the world.
Yeah.
Go see the world.
Oscar De La Hoya.
Whitaker, Mildred Taylor.
Yeah, the whole 80,
all
the whole
these guys.
84 team, the 88 team, Roy Jones, the list goes on. All of those guys you have seen, even with myself, being an alternate on the Olympic team and staying amateur a whole year because I was being told that I might have an opportunity to fight at the Olympic Games. I stayed amateur because I really wanted to fight for a medal for my country. If that's not your goal, I get it. If that's not your dream, I get it. But reconsider because you're rushing. Because you're rushing to get to nothing. You know, you really are.
And you know something, at the end of the day, you can't eat the trophy. Listen, you're gaining all that experience. I fought against Canada, but Sean, you was on the international team. But
You say I fought against Canada,
but that's USA versus Canada.
Some good fighters out there.
I'm just saying. But you was on the international team, so you're going away.
Yeah.
You can't buy that experience.
I know.
You can't buy that.
Yeah.
Because guess what? 9 times out of 10, that's who you're going to be fighting in the pros when you step your game up.
Yep. And Brian Norman versus Jin Sasaki. What you got about Jin?
Right before we get to Brian, I just got to give one more shout out to someone that's on the JOs. 2028 gold medalist Marcus Luther.
Ooh.
I have a dream.
Yeah.
That Marcus Luther wins the gold medal.
Yeah. Have you dreamt that? No.
Just now, daydreaming.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Andre Ward, shout out to Andre. He put me on to him. That's why I had my eye on him for this tournament, and he did not disappoint.
And really quickly, just going back to the amateurboxingchampions.com, we are revamping that platform, and in the matter of 3 months, you're gonna start to see everything and more that we're talking about here right now with Salim and Luther and a whole host of other guys. Baby Bug. Yeah.
Marley McNeely.
Yeah.
Shout out San Francisco.
Yep. So a whole lot coming to that platform. And then we're gonna be bringing on some of these amateurs onto the podcast as well. They was hounding me out there like, oh, you gotta get me on the show. So
Sean was a superstar.
I'm enjoying it, man. I'm enjoying it.
I love seeing Sean.
But Brian Norman, man.
Woo. Rubber band,
Jin
man.
Sasaki.
Wow,
Did he go down twice in the first round?
Man.
Yes.
So the first hook on the top of the dome.
First hook that lands.
First top of the dome, I say, yo, okay. And then the second one, I was like, you still a little shook, But Jin just 2 different levels.
Yeah. Out of his depth.
2 different levels.
Yeah.
What you think about Brian Norman Jr.?
I believe he's awesome.
Yeah.
I believe he's awesome. I believe he's strong. Punches, he knows his position. He knows what punches to throw, where to go, when to throw them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And when to pick the pace up and when to slow it down.
Mm-hmm.
He's a beast. To my opinion, he's a beast.
So I love Brian Norman Jr. right now,
I ain't
man.
mad at you. I ain't mad at you.
You know why? Because from one underground king to another underground king, right? He was. We have that term, slept on. Some fighters are slept on, right?
Right.
He was literally slept on. People were asleep when he got the knockout of the year. Most people were asleep. So it's not a figure of speech. He slept on, damn it.
Somebody on the East Coast. You see, I was like, you on the East Coast? Come on, man.
Yeah,
Give
it's
me
like
a break.
8 o'clock.
I'm good. Yeah. Go ahead though. Yeah.
So but sometimes I used to love in hip hop Pharoah Monch and Royce the 5'9", Ghostface, guys that I felt were better than Jay-Z. They just, for whatever reason, weren't chosen or whatever it is, right? And right now, I'm not saying Brian Norman's better than the guys getting more money and more shine right now. The Fab Four, Haney, Shakur, and Tia. But he goes to behind enemy lines. No people in America are sleeping. He gets the knockout of the year. And yeah, Jin Sasaki isn't the hardest guy to hit, right? You know, but he, against this fighter, he showed us that he's not just country strong. He doesn't just punch hard. He has skills and IQ.
Yeah.
He has a good IQ. And he mixed his punches up in this fight. Yeah. He was creative with his punches. He would lead with the right hand. He'd throw the up jab, threw a double jab, sweep the right hand, hook to the body. He was in his bag against a fighter that he was able to do that with. But they say you get 50% better as a champion.
Sometimes fighters fight to certain levels.
Right.
And the level that I can see him, the better you get, the better he's gonna get.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, because he can. To me, it looks like he could do it all.
Right. And I didn't know that. That's what, like, in his first 2 title defenses, you see him growing as a quality champion. You know, and that phrase used to be kind of played out. Oh, you get 50% better as a champion, but that's exactly what I see him doing. I didn't know he could counterpunch and timing and.
My experience in the amateurs is what slows me down from simply saying Boots beats Norman. And the reason being is because aesthetically, Boots is that guy.
Maybe the flashiest fighter in the game.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, 360 dunks. And
aesthetically,
yeah.
And you watch some English guys and you like,
what good levels, yeah?
You're 1-2, like, come on, what you gonna do with me? And then out of nowhere, you get in the ring with them and the stuff that you do ain't working. The stuff that they do that's not aesthetically eye-catching, and you didn't see these pivots and you know, flashes of 3 and 4 punch combinations, stuff like that, but a simple as jab and a simple as 1-2, and you get caught up. Like, now you're fighting in their pace and their rhythm. I'm watching Norman, I'm like it's Sasaki, and what I thought was going to give Norman cause Norman to make an adjustment, he didn't have to make an adjustment to it. The dude has crazy timing.
The timing. That's
the thing for me. I always, when I'm trying to figure out, okay, what can I do to tell people what makes you great, what makes you special, what makes you why you are, where you're at, and all that kind of stuff, it's his timing. You know? There's something he can see it coming. But it's a little different from Boots. Boots, I truly feel like being in the ring with him, and I saw him do it while I was outside of the ring, I felt like he was just intuitive and just knew what you were going to do and when you were going to do it. Didn't see that from Brian. But Brian is just like, okay, I'm sitting on this right hand and I'm coming over the top and here it is. And I'm sitting on this hook and I'm coming over your right hand and there it is. And his timing. Is just right there for it. So saying all that to say, it's gonna be a good fight when it happens. If it happens, I hope it happens.
I wish Jaron. Look, if Jaron, he can't make 147 no more. Your body, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But man, I wish he could make the weight one more time at 100% for this one, for the Brian Norman fight.
That's a dangerous fight if he's having trouble making that weight.
Yeah. You don't take that kind of fight if you got to be at 100%, right?
I mean, Boots is awesome.
Absolutely.
Like I love Boots, you know, but you're having trouble making 147, you know, that's just what it is.
Yeah, no doubt. It's just me selfishly treating the fighters like they're not humans, like they don't got to make weight. You know, I want to see this fight at 47. But so you mentioned his timing. Yeah. Paulie, what's the old phrase about timing in boxing? Old timers.
I think a lot of it has to do with positioning. You know what I mean? You put yourself in the right position, and then the timing will be there.
But what's the saying? Is there a saying?
Timing beats speed.
You're right.
And
if I had to pick power, speed, because I didn't do everything great, but I did everything okay. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If I had to pick anything that I would do to be like to have in my bag, it would be positioning and timing. It would be that. Instead of the power, instead of the speed, you know, if you're not there to be hit, then the speed and the power don't matter.
Yeah.
That makes me think of Gervonta's fight with Roach. Because Gervonta has the speed and the power, but Roach has the position and the timing to offset some of that. I don't know. Would you just to divert for a second? What'd you think of that fight? You think Roach might have his kryptonite in the rematch, or?
No, I don't. I think Tank can pull it off.
What about the stuff between the ears? Tank talking about retiring and not, being in love with the game, and
to me, I don't want to say like spoiling fighters, but you're giving somebody let's keep it real. You're getting $20 million, millions of dollars. It's hard to want to get. What did Marvin
stay
Hagler
hungry,
say?
silk sheets.
He's in the silk sheets, and it's hard to get up and do that road work. You know what I'm
Silk
saying?
sheets is overrated, y'all.
You just spoiled now. So Sean is the spoiled fighter you're talking about. What are you talking about?
Silk sheets is
feel lovely.
overrated, y'all. Also, silk sheets kept sliding.
Man, I had a dog rip up. We had silk sheets once, and the dog ripped it up. I wanted to kill that dog. You're tripping.
Well, you ain't have a chance to experience. I don't think I want to be these silk sheets slide all that.
But back to Norman, and I got a hot take about Brian Norman and Boots.
Go for it.
I'm not saying he beats Boots, because Boots has that speed advantage, and kind of like Pacquiao would do something. You can overwhelm a guy with speed, and
he's very athletic
and can throw punches from everywhere, body, head, every punch in the book.
It's a good boxing match.
Boots got every punch in the book, body, head, but timing beats speed. And if he wasn't able to overwhelm Norman, and Norman's able to settle into the fight, here's the hot take. I think Brian Norman has a better boxing IQ than Jaron Ennis.
Ooh.
That's deep.
I think Ennis is the faster guy, the more gifted guy.
Deep.
But I think Norman might adjust a little better, think a little bit better.
It'll probably go better for him in the later rounds.
He's got to get through the early part where that speed and everything is just overwhelming. Like, whoa.
But it's hard. It's hard. I'm gonna be honest. It's hard for me to see him losing. It is, unless it's against like a Crawford or you know what I'm saying.
Well, Norman, a lot of people have said that were there that he did very well against Crawford a couple years ago.
I bet he
sparring.
did. I bet he did.
Yeah. So I mean, it's sparring, but I don't know. I think that could potentially speak. Is there anything we should take from that, Sean? Now that he's a champion, that back in 2021 he allegedly did well against Bud.
Honestly, yes. And the reason why I say yes is because Bud is the kind of guy that doesn't have a bad day at the gym.
You did, Joe.
If he has a bad day at the gym, the hell did he just say?
You did sometimes.
Right. Sometimes.
Some guys peak on that fight night and they're, they have
But I can't see a situation where Bud came in flat. Bud don't get out of I don't see that. So when Brian Norman Jr. has a good day in the gym against Bud,
that says a lot.
That says a lot, actually, because I know sparring is one thing. I get it.
Yeah.
But Bud is the kind of guy that just this is me every day. So that's a big deal. And you know the young kids, the young guys. I know you sparred against this a lot, where you had a young guy came in there excited and he going 100 miles an hour. You like, yo, I'm just trying to I'm trying to turn the key. You know what I mean? So. It's something to be said about it. Something to be said about it. Yeah. I don't know. You said that Brian Norman has better ring IQ than Boots.
Not 1,000,000% sold on it, but when I was watching this fight, and I look at little things like when Ennis would get frustrated with Karan Jukajan, it was. And I see Norman in the Cuevas fight, he was getting hit with left hooks, and then he adjusts and he stops getting hit with left hooks.
So I have to separate the ability from the mentality.
Right.
So there it is.
Right.
That's. I feel like one thing I know about Boots and Bozy is, it seems like their preparation for an opponent isn't specific enough for that guy that they're getting in the ring with. and they're still bringing...
Just be Boots.
Yeah, it's like...
we got everything, so something's going to work.
Yeah, and it's like honestly, real talk, sometimes it's like, we're going to take these 4, and it's like, we just need this bag today, and we don't need the whole thing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm not mad at that statement.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that statement.
Just something worth considering, at least. It's not,
and when you're a Brian Norman that fights with the kind of speed and pace and rhythm that he fights at, and you make it, and you're able to get knockouts and things of that nature, that came through thinking, and that came through making small mental adjustments.
His dad was saying in the corner, pluck the body, stab the body. And that's what led to the knockout.
Yeah, I kept hearing that too.
Yeah.
Kept hearing that too.
So
moving on real quick. No, hold up, real quick. This gotta be next, right?
What? Boots and Norman?
Yeah.
Well, Boots is moving up.
It ain't happening.
No, it is. It sounds like it is.
No, I'm saying that this fight.
Oh, this fighting. Of course, it's boxing. Why would it happen now? This is no.
Well, we got Crawford and Spence eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Post accident.
All right. So then,
yeah.
Shout out to Ant with 2 T's. He not here today. That's our matchmaker. So we'll move on. But hoping to have Brian Norman on the show next week. Pretty sure that's gonna happen. Already made the call and everything.
Nick, I mentioned something for Sasaki.
Absolutely.
He that kid Sasaki had a big set. He came with everything he had. I would in Japan. Nue's father recently said, we might have to pump the brakes on going up in weight. Because I know my son, if he'd go up in weight and he was smart and use his speed and his skills, he could outpoint guys. But I know my son, he's going to go for the knockout. So that means I need to take my time bringing him up in weight to this next weight class. I say that to say in Japan, a little like Mexico, they expect a certain something in their fights. Mm-hmm. They don't want you fighting off the back foot a lot. So for Sasaki, I feel like he went in there and that plays a role in it. I mean, there's more skilled Japanese fighters that are aggressive, that go about it much more intelligent than he did against Norman, right? But I would just say to Sasaki, be a friend to yourself, young man. Don't be afraid to use the jab, learn some defense and all that. You showed us you're a warrior and you got power. Don't be a friend to yourself and don't be shy to add some grace to your game. And the Japanese people, I'm sure, will still think you're a warrior. And
I saw what I thought I was gonna see. I saw the herky jerky movement, and I saw this flash jab, and I'm like, that's great speed. It's different from Boots, right? The difference from Boots is, while there's this flash jab coming from Sasaki, Sasaki doesn't know how to step into it and make it actually land. Sasaki doesn't know how to step into it and use it for range and control and all those other things where Boots does. So yeah, there's gonna be adjustments that Norman would have to make if he was getting in the ring with Boots, but he ain't apparently. So
no, he's not.
Moving on, damn it. Real quick, Munguia, he popped his B test sample, came back positive. Shane said that was a fight that he was really hoping to get. Not really sure what the penalty is going to be.
Sean, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How come? I want to know how come that they fight and then they pop? What is that?
So that's one thing you see
seriously.
from...
No, I know, but
and that's what you see from Victor Conte. What you see from Victor Conte, Vada?
Yeah.
Working with Vada, they're trying to get fighters into a program where they're being tested yearly.
Right.
All year round, randomly. And when you do see some of these guys popping, it's because they haven't been in the random program and they have been able to do their cycle, is what I've been heard it referred to as, and they've figured out ways to get that cycle, get it into their system, then get off that cycle and basically get it out of their system before they have to test, right? So you already know though, we always showed up on fight night. First thing we do when we get to the locker room is do your test. Yeah. And then after the fight, 2 weeks later is when they finally coming back with the sample, and it's like, y'all need some instant stuff.
Yeah.
Or some instant fight night stuff. You know what I mean?
Because to Paul's point, the crime's already done. Like,
I'm sorry to cut you off, Paul, but this is something that spoils boxing, right? Because at the end of the day, they wanted to happen on fight night. That way the fight still takes place. Promoters don't know what's going on. Managers don't know what's going on. You know what I mean?
The money's already
Managers
made by
you
then.
know?
Right.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we put money into this investment. We want to make sure this investment goes off, which is why we're not doing a test the week before the fight or 2 weeks before the fight. We want to do it the night of because we know y'all going to find out 2 weeks later. And even though you're dealing with your issue, we got what we needed. And, you know, we're moving on. So Munguia, man, y'all got to figure it out.
I feel Paul was going to say something, though, about it.
I feel like that's like I don't know how to explain it, but like you get fights like Chavez and Melcher Tiller, they wasn't on no PDs. But listen, one fight can ruin someone's life.
Yes, sir.
And like that thing with Ryan Garcia and Devin, and then a year, take a year. Me personally, I would have took 18 months off. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
And when I heard Bill say they had over 100 rounds in sparring, that right there, see, because these guys this is boxing. And how many times do we see fighters that can't talk and have trouble in life? You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm worrying about the fighter. The fighter makes the trainer don't make the fighter.
Right.
You know
the fighter's the whole show.
Yeah.
The whole everything.
And I just don't understand how you could be coming in at 3 pounds heavy, pop for PDs, and
be celebrated for it, really.
Yeah, and and then try to make the next court the same thing. I mean, to me, I don't understand that.
That's society today in 2025, unfortunately.
Hey, real quick, let's do this real quick because I wanna get to Paul. We got about 15 minutes, and I know we're gonna go over, but I really wanna get to Paul. Mbilli and Sulecki are fighting this weekend.
Yeah.
Along with I was gonna call him George Paul.
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul,
who is George Paul.
Yeah.
I like that. Paul George. Yeah.
Jake Paul and Chavez Jr.
We got the most important Paul right here.
Yeah,
we don't need Jake Paul. We got Paulie Spadafora.
Ramirez and Doriticos.
Yeah, it's a good fight.
You know anything about Mbilli and Sulecki?
Nah.
Sulecki?
Were you talking about the Cuban?
No, not yet. But we're gonna get to the Cuban. So I think Mbilli, and that's just we hear it all the time.
Mbilli's supposed to stop him.
He's gonna stop him.
He's supposed to stop him.
He's supposed to stop him. He will. You know. This is the fight that's supposed to make him look like he is the guy at 168, and we're no longer in line waiting. This is the fight that's
he's fighting for the interim, WBC interim title.
And this is that fight that's supposed to get him out of line, and we're gonna cater you and move you right up to the front of the row.
Obviously Mbilli's solid, but I think he's more exciting than he is elite.
Oh yeah.
But good. Definitely a top 10 super middleweight. Definitely a good fighter. But nobody that's making Canelo or Crawford nothing. Yeah. I'd love to see him fight Jamal Charlo because Charlo's number 2 in the WBC rankings. That's a good fight.
Ooh, that's a really good fight. You did talk about that last week or
maybe.
weeks ago.
Yeah, I like that fight.
Yeah, I really like that fight too.
Mbilli is saying Diego Pacheco ducked him. I
kind of feel like that's what could be coming next though.
Those two eventually.
Yeah.
They're two of the top, guys on the cusp of fighting for the titles.
Yeah.
Whenever Canelo either fights them or relinquishes the belt or loses them to Crawford, who may retire, I don't know. But yeah.
Doriticos is the Cuban getting in the ring with Gilberto Ramirez. Zordo.
I like the Cuban.
I like the Cuban too.
Why do you like him?
What says you, Sean?
Doriticos and I didn't get too deep into my tape studies for this one.
Okay.
I'll keep it real.
Forget you then.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Paul.
I just like the power on how he closes his distance, and he knows how to get to you.
Yeah, he know how to get to you. He got great punch placement.
Yeah.
Both to the head and to the body.
Right, yeah.
Great punch placement, and he has debilitating power.
He broke my heart when he knocked out Tabiti because I had high hope. Remember Tabiti from the Mayweather gym?
Yeah.
That was a guy at 200 pounds that could do some Floyd Mayweather moves. Yeah. He was really a good athlete, good speed, good power, and Doriticos knocked him out. Mm-hmm. And that told me a lot about Doriticos.
Yeah, so. Doriticos is really good, to say the least. He is really good, and obviously we know what Zordo's about. I just see him beating Zordo. He's got good punch placement. He's gonna be able to get around the gloves. He's gonna be able to get around the elbows, and he's tall, long, just like Zordo, a little longer than Zordo, and I think he's gonna control the action, man. I think Dorticos is gonna win this one.
Well, then I guess if nothing else to offset you and Paul, I'll go Zurdo because he's younger. Yeah. Dorticos is close to 40 years old. And then it's hard to knock out a big Mexican. It's hard to knock out a big Mexican. Zurdo is a big guy. I know he came up from 68.
And it takes a big old-ass Cuban to do it.
It might.
What was it called? George Paul. Jake Paul Chavez Jr. Go ahead.
I look at this. I look at this like this. What Chavez Jr. is gonna show up?
Yeah.
Like Jake Paul's getting a lot better. A lot better. He's getting a lot better. So I mean, don't just think that you're just gonna get in here and not train and try to just get a payday and walk through there, because you mess around and get knocked out.
Right.
You mess around and lose. You know what I'm saying? But from all the boxing experience that Chavez does have, I'm leaning definitely towards Chavez.
I think this is a fight that's made to make Jake Paul look like he is everything that he's been telling people he is, for the last 4 or 5 years now it's been, huh? Wow. Yeah, time flies, man. It's been about four years now.
Maybe 6.
6?
Since he fought, when his brother fought KSI with the headgear on back in England. I think that might have been 2019.
Oh, okay. I thought it was 2020. So, 2019. So, it's been a while. I think this is that initiating fight here, for Jake Paul.
Why? When Silva beat him, Silva beat Chavez, and then Jake beat Silva a couple years ago. So I just don't see how that's. I get it because Chavez has 50 wins as a professional, and and he's
a boxer, whereas Silva comes from the UFC, from the octagon.
Right, but Silva still beat Chavez.
But people don't know that.
I know. Well, I just told them. That's why they tuned in. Right? Hey, sorry to spoil the show, but no. I think I gotta give Jake credit. I've been critical of Jake Paul, and like that term "industry plant" took off last year in the Cat Williams interview, and that's kind of the vibe I get. Where did this guy came from? Disney. He's famous for being famous, like Kardashian or Paris Hilton. Like what do you do? You're not,
but he's been working hard.
He has, and that's why before I had to say that, I got to give him credit. He's a better fighter than he was a couple years ago, and he is a legit professional. Before all he had was that big right hand.
Right.
He'll stab the stomach with the jab a little bit and then try to come over the top. But now he catches and shoots with a hook. He changes the levels on his jab. He's got decent feet. He's not just a stationary target. And he's got balls. He's got balls to pick up boxing as an adult and now be fighting, even if they're past it or they're this and they're that, fighting guys with professional experience. I think he's going to win the fight. I think he wins by decision. I think Chavez Jr. still has a left hook. But I expect after 2 or 3 rounds, just Chavez Jr. will fade a little bit.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you think Chavez is going to put the pressure on him?
No, not consistently. Not for more than a round or 2 at most.
Really?
I don't.
Wow.
I think some of it is inside. It's not that he can't go. The guy was WBC middleweight champ. He can go. It's just this kid Paul is younger and he believes. He's more confident.
Hungry,
he believes I'm supposed to win. And Chavez Jr., you lose a number of fights, maybe you start to get the mentality of a loser. I don't know. It's deep. Like you become okay with losing. And I think that's an issue for him.
That's
in this
real.
fight,
That's real.
I think some guys know that it's like I always say, the belts don't fight, you fight, And then some guys know, the belt's out of my reach, this money's right here in my reach, and so I'm just gonna get in there and get my money.
Yeah.
I hope that's not the mindset of Chavez.
To Paul's point, if he shows up and really wants this thing, he could do it.
I believe so.
But let me tell you what I truly think is gonna happen.
He's been inactive. He fought last year?
Yeah.
And he's been inactive, and then so it's gonna be a good fight.
So let me tell you what I think is gonna happen. I I think Jake is gonna come out, like you said, stabs to the body, using the ring, that in and out movement that he uses, and it's kind of become like the waiting game for him. I think they're basically gonna see, is Chavez gonna throw back? They want Chavez to go a couple of rounds, wear him down. If that happens, I'm gonna tell you what I want to see from Jake Paul. Now I'm demanding of you what I demand from Shushu. Shushu, get back to the old school. Use that jab and use that boxing IQ that you got. You know, a couple other guys out there that, you know, I've demanded things from in the past. What I'm demanding from Jake Paul now is, I don't want to see you go the distance. That's not what we not here to see you go the distance. We're here to see you land that big right hand. If you was landing that big right hand over against the UFC guys and all that kind of stuff, show us you getting better. Line up that right hand, set it up, and actually take that chance and throw it. I think they're gonna be super cautious, and if they see that Chavez ain't wearing down all that kind of stuff, they're gonna be cautious and win a decision. I don't want to see that. I want to see you line up that right hand, close the show, and then people will say you're a boxer. Yeah. Can we get to Paul?
Let's do it, please.
I've been wanting to get the Paul forever. Paul, man, I gotta ask you, what made you want to write this book?
Well, one of my friends from Pittsburgh, Chris Scarnetti, asked me if I would be willing to let him write a book about my life and my life story. And I was just, you know, at the time I was like, you know something, let me do something that can help somebody. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. At the time in my life, I wasn't living the right way. You know what I mean? So I figure, you know, let me try to put something out in the world that can help somebody, help a young fighter or help a young kid. I mean, let me tell you this story real quick. So my cousin called me, right? He called me like 4 months ago. It's like, he called me out of nowhere. I said, "What's up, Jess?" He said, "I don't know, I was just thinking about it. Do you realize that I do not know anybody on this planet that lived the life that you lived? Meaning, like, you know, under the porches, 40 different schools, never had no stability, my dad OD'd, crack was heavy in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So the padlocks was on the door, you know what I mean? But when I found the box, I was living with a pedophile for 4 years. When I found the boxing gym, I did a podcast yesterday. Oh yeah, I want to say shout out to my man. He knows you. I'm gonna get it real quick. I have to do it.
It's another boxing channel.
Yeah. But it was good. It was good though. It was good, man. But like for the book situation, just trying to put it out there for the if anybody can do it. But going back to my cousin, I was like, "Justin, do you realize you was shooting dope when you was 11 years old?"
Oh, damn.
And you're saying I had a bad life. I just was like thinking about it, like, what the hell? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I didn't, you know what I mean? But you know, we're like animals. We adapt to what we have to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, some people go to the and then the guy that I'm about to bring up, Mike, his name's Mike, and he asked me, he said, "What was boxing like for you? What was the boxing gym like for you?" And my immediate reaction was like, you know what I said?
Home.
Church.
Oh, church home.
Yeah, you know, I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Isn't that what this is all about? You know?
That's what it's all.
We get all caught up in the titles and the money and but it's about boxing saves people.
Changing you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You come in. I was 14 years old. I grew up in like a blue collar town. You know what I mean? Been kicked out of every school I ever went to. You know what I'm saying? Always the minority. You know what I'm saying? When the crack came, it was vicious. In the 90s, it was vicious. So, you know what I'm saying? It's just like if I can get through it in however way I got through it, then there shouldn't be no, You know what I'm saying? That quitting ain't an option.
We got Paul Spadafora, Fighting to the End.
Yeah.
It's
With the foreword by Roy too.
They got it in Walmart, got it at Barnes and Noble, and it's also on Amazon. Paul, what was one of the most important things to you when it came to writing this book? What do you think one of the things you're like, I have to tell this?
How PK changed my life. PK, my trainer PK. See, a lot of people think I'm the Pittsburgh Kid, but the Pittsburgh Kid's Billy Conner. We all know that.
Flajo Lewis.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not the Pittsburgh Kid.
Right.
I'm PK.
He was the light heavyweight champion. For people who don't know, right?
I asked when he passed away. I asked his wife Rachel if I could just say PK for my name.
Yeah.
And that's what. And then over the time they made it the Pittsburgh Kid. But that ain't the Pittsburgh Kid. Pittsburgh Kid's Billy Conner.
Mm-hmm. Light heavyweight champion, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And you spent time with him?
What?
The Pittsburgh Kid?
No, I never did. He passed away, but I knew his brother a little bit.
Got you.
But he passed away.
Got you. So you came into boxing at 14.
Yeah.
I saw you at the reunion, the amateur boxing, USA amateur boxing reunion that we did, and seems like anytime I'm around you at a boxing event, there's like these shocks of energy that you get, and you just get super, super, super excited.
Yeah.
What is it about boxing that makes you like?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm passionate. Just love it.
Yeah.
You know, I sold my little house and home, put a gym in my garage, and I just love it. I love boxing.
Yeah. Do you love it because of what it did for you, or do you love the essence of what do you love?
I love it for what I love the art of it. I love the mental. I love the discipline. You know, because whenever you're out there so wild, sometimes it takes the gym to get that discipline back in you. You know what I'm saying? And then and the things you learn in boxing is unbelievable. My trainer PK used to tell me, Paul, when you come in the gym, do me a favor, don't talk, get ready, and work harder than anybody in the gym. That's what he said.
And it'll work out pretty good for you in the long run, right?
And that was me my entire life. Rule number 1 was no sitting down at the gym. Rule number 2 was we wasn't allowed to talk. Just step on and do your work.
See, all us kids who had 2 or 3 amateur fights, we were playing grab ass and laughing, but the guys who were going to go on to fight to be champions weren't.
Paul, they say you never master boxing, but do you think you were getting close to understanding that art, mastering that art?
I think that I mastered the art of not getting hit, putting myself in different positions, but I didn't come back. I wasn't a guy that could come back real quick. You know what I'm saying, Sean? Like I could make you miss, but
you didn't have a counter. Timing.
That.
Yeah.
Why is that? Is that just a God gift thing?
I feel a lot of it had to do with I got shot when I was 16 in my left leg, and I'm a southpaw, so it took a lot of
able to pull the trigger.
Yeah, it never really healed. It's still smaller than the right leg. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
I got 2 I wanted to throw Paul's way. I almost want you to show the shoes to the camera too, but this is let people know.
Clean.
My man has been through everything he's been through, and he's still sitting here with aura. Still, we got more aura than some of the champs I talked to, man. I'm serious. But we used to have a lot of Italian American champions. You know, you were one, and Arturo, Arturo, and Paulie were kind of like 3 of the last ones.
Paulie Milanozzi.
You Paulie, and but back in the day it was Rocky Marciano, Lamada, Graziano, Willie Pep, on and on and on. Well, what do you think happened? Why do you think we don't have we had Vito Milnicki win a fight over the weekend, and he's
That's a
on
good
this
question.
But yeah.
That's a good question.
He won his fight, Sean. Yeah.
Go ahead, Paul. Why do you think we don't see the Italians out
Why
here?
do we go soft, Paulie? Not you, but
I'm gonna tell you. See, how could I put a lot of the Italian people? Most of the Italian people that I know, they own concrete companies, they own restaurants, and you know, like I think it has to do with the poverty.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
That's what I kind of gathered too. Yeah, and a lot of Italians have left the city areas and they move upstate in New York, or they go to Delaware if they grew up in Philly. They go down to Florida and they, you know. So, and then another one. Man, I gotta ask you this because you spoke so highly of Terence Crawford earlier, and everybody knows you sparred Floyd in that famous sparring session. What do you think would have happened? People are talking about this hypothetical now: Floyd against Terence at their best.
That's an amazing fight. I mean, Floyd's IQ is unbelievable. I think me personally, we talking about Pretty Boy or we talking about Money
the man you sparred Pretty Boy, so
Pretty Boy
Floyd, prime Floyd Mayweather.
I have to go with Pretty Boy on that.
Was that the only time you sparred Floyd, or did you guys spar more than
I only sparred him one time.
Okay,
but I will go with Pretty Boy on that.
How did that come about? Do you remember?
I was sparring people in the gym like C.V. Forbes and James Creighton.
Out here, right?
Yeah.
Right there, like right down the street.
Yeah.
At Richard Steele's.
Well, over at
was that Richard Steele's? It wasn't at Top Rank?
Okay.
Nah,
Okay.
It was at Richard Steele's, and they asked me if I was going to. I was 10 days away from a fight. He wasn't in the gym, and Roger told him. He said, Floyd, you don't need to spar him right now. He's ready to go. He's ready to fight. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't listen, whatever. And that was a sparring session.
Yeah. You've never tried to get clout off of it.
God.
Yeah.
It makes me want to boom.
Sorry.
I should have never.
Sorry.
For real, you know what I should have said? No, I don't want to spar him. No.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I feel in my heart it ruined my chances of getting the fight. But when that fight with him and Castillo, HBO flew me out there, and that was a pretty close fight.
Very close.
You know.
Rematch was competitive too.
Well,
he beat Castillo in the rematch.
I think he beat him convincingly.
He did.
But that's how quick Floyd can adjust. And there's so many levels to this game. So I don't even like talking them conversations like that. I don't do that.
Do you like it? At least, like every time I've seen you and Floyd in Vegas, he's very respectful to you and always.
I have no problem. I was just in his gym the other day.
Yeah.
I have no problem with Floyd.
Yeah.
Paul, I don't know if this is answered in the book, but for you in the boxing ring, do you have unfinished business in the ring? Do you feel like there's something that you?
Well, I do. I feel like right now, I would say I'm starting now. I'm just getting into training fighters. You know what I mean? I mean, I was training guys in back when I retired in Pittsburgh for like 6 years, just volunteering. You know what I mean? But never where I got my own gym. Now I got fighters. You know, now I want to take and take. Now when we say make, I'm talking about from the ground up. I really don't think you could call yourself a real trainer until you take a guy from first amateur fight to title fight or main event. I'm good with main events. If you're a solid main event fighter, you're a real guy.
Yeah.
If you're going in someone's backyard and breaking and beating the brakes off them, you're a solid guy. And that's all I'm looking to get out of the boxing. And that I'm looking to get, and I'm going to get it. Because you know what? You have to want it bad enough to get it. And that's what I do. I want it bad enough.
Where does that come from?
Just all my life, I was always the first one in the gym, last one in the gym. As soon as I wake up in the morning, I'm right outside the gym, got the garage open, I'm ready to work.
I remember after sparring with you and...
You know what it is? It's completely about the work ethic. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You remember that day you guys was killing me. I was just throwing up.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember even you talking to like a young Devin Haney after you sparred with him and just trying to give him anything you could offer him, you know?
Yeah.
Like an hour after the day was over.
Love boxing.
Yeah.
Love the kids that were like down at the convention. Love it. I thought that I don't care if you're not on my team. If you're doing the wrong thing and you're getting hit, guess what? I'm gonna say something. And your coach can get mad, and I understand that. I'll walk away once he gets mad.
Right.
I'm being dead serious. So sometimes they need to understand this is not a you hit me, I hit you thing.
Yeah.
Because the more you get hit, guess what? The shorter your career is.
What do you think of? There's this talk from Turkey Al Sheikh, no more Tom and Jerry fights. People criticizing back foot fighters and all that. And
What do you mean?
so there's some talk about lowering the ring size, incentivizing fighters with the knockout bonus.
No. I don't like that at all. I feel like the ring needs to be big because you can make, and see, that's another thing. Some of these fighters, I'm just going to tell you, they don't master the clock.
It's their fault. Real talk, Canelo, you've been around this thing too many times for you to see that somebody isn't going to engage and for you not to know how to slow them down and stop them from being able to get away from you. I'm sorry, but with Canelo, that's a thing of where he is in his career right now. Also, he didn't have to do that night in order to win that fight. So he just didn't step up and do it,
He was okay with what was going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I got paid. This guy doesn't mean anything. He's not gonna beat me.
They're not gonna give him a decision.
And this isn't the fight that I need to pull all this out and do it against. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then again, I've seen so many fighters that just don't know how to cut off the ring. A lot of coaches don't truly know these X's and these O's.
Right.
What kind of coach are you?
Careful, cautious, and safe at all times when you're boxing. When you go into a situation, you got to understand that something's coming back. Don't just stand there with your head up in the air like a jerk off. You know what I'm saying? You got to keep your chin. I'm an old school boxing trainer. I learned from an old guy. My trainer was PK. I mean, I learned from all these other guys because my trainer passed away. Mm-hmm. I learned from Tommy and Kello. I learned from your dad.
Tommy's an underrated trainer.
How about man?
Roy has so much respect for Tommy.
No, he's a great trainer.
He is.
Listen, R.I.P. to Kenny Adams, man. I love him to death, man. Shout out to Kenny Adams. I love him to death. I was up with Kenny. I worked with Kenny Adams a couple times, man. Kenny Adams was a great trainer. All the oh man, now you got me wanting to talk. Hey, Sean, let me ask you a question real quick. Mm-hmm. When Lou Duva told Meldrick Taylor to go out in the 12th round, no, seriously, and go get him, what was that about? To get him hurt? Was he trying to get him hurt or something?
No.
It was miscalculation at best.
Man.
No, hyped up in the moment.
In the moment.
And not truly understanding
in the moment.
The where you are in the fight. He was caught up in the moment. Let's close the show and let's do this and let's do that. It just, for that one, it wasn't necessary. It wasn't needed. Some fights, if they're not exciting along the way, it's like, yo, we gotta have a big last round. Right. We gotta get somebody, gotta give people something to talk about.
That wasn't the night to do it.
It wasn't the night to do it. It just wasn't the night to do it,
Accidents happen.
I hear you.
And Meldrick was never the same, right? He was never the same.
That's what I'm saying.
Again, y'all, this is Paul Spadafora, the PK Kid. Can I go with the PK Kid? All right. The PK Kid. Fighting Till the End is in stores, Walmart, Barnes & Noble. You can also get it on Amazon. Do you have anything in closing?
No, just Paul Spadafora official on my IG.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Any young fighters that want to learn how to, really fight the right way, and do the right thing, I'm around the corner.
Yeah. I don't like it though. You gotta learn with Paul. You learning how to be careful, cautious, and safe. That don't sound like. Yeah. That's not me. I was not careful, cautious.
Well, as a trainer though, if you get a kid whose skill set, the tools that naturally come to him is to be a puncher, to be aggressive, or do you mold?
The positions and all that. Yeah. you could be a puncher, but don't get hit right on the button. I mean, we're fighters. We're gonna get hit. You see Roberto Duran moving his head. He's riding with the punch. You see James Toney.
Right.
He boom, boom, boom. He's doing things like that. There's different ways. When I say be careful, cautious, and safe, I'm just saying.
I'm not saying we're not gonna whoop someone's ass, but we're gonna be
Because I'm like, you teaching the CCS, but I don't remember you being, you was doing and coming up with something
and you
like
gotta let the punches go for sure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
hey yo, check out Paul's. He's got some highlights and stuff like that on YouTube. I don't think you're the one that put it together. I hope you know that it's on YouTube, but he's got some really good, exciting highlights on the YouTube. This is not the last time I'm gonna do a show with Paul. Next time I do a show, hopefully we'll be, the two of us or the three of us, and we'll be able to get like just into your career, fights.
This was awesome for me. I got to sit between,
And I'm telling y'all, like great. I've said this before, and I hope y'all are paying attention. When it came to Sean Porter in the boxing ring, I was literally nothing but a melting pot of a whole bunch of other people that my dad put me around, that my dad was influenced by. And I was definitely influenced by this man. I was motivated by this man. I didn't know professional boxing. I knew amateur boxing. And this is someone that I watched as an amateur. And when you turn pro, you were one of the only guys that I watched or knew of as a professional boxer. So in essence, you were professional boxing to me because I didn't watch boxing. But I knew you. And when Paul was getting in the ring or coming on ESPN, HBO, we were watching you. So you definitely in that pot, big dog.
Thank you, man.
And you're going to be in this motivational message
Thank
too.
you.
Okay? Motivational message for you guys, man. Fighting to the end. This right here is a man just sitting here wanting you guys to understand that anything is possible. Doesn't matter where you come from. Doesn't matter who you grow up around. Doesn't matter who has influenced you. You can change it all and you can come out and you can be something great. This is the PorterWay.